Hi everyone, welcome to another video on Excel tutorials. Today we'll be looking at XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. So this is our data set that we'll be using to learn XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. So we can see this data is an employee information. This is a master's list. I've created it in a way that you learn VLOOKUP here, learn XLOOKUP here. But before then, let me show you something. You see, if you look at this place, I've already done some here, which I will take you through it. You can see that if I select any employer ID, you can see all the information of the employee here. 1248. Let's select 1054. Let's say I select 1054. You can see last name Smith Howard, department 80, which is this 1054, department 80, pay rate 11.25. So I'll start with that. Let's start with putting a validation list. I'm sure you might have come across data validation or not, but I'll just take you through that so it will help us understand everything. So let's put a validation here for the employer ID, just like I did here, to select any employee, and you can actually get the information using a lookup. So for here, you go to data. From data, you go to data validation, click on data validation, then you check, we want to select from a list. So you select list. When we select from list, we take the source of the list. Where are we selecting? Which list are we selecting from? And come here, select the source. And for the source, we choose this Control Shift down, and we selected the whole employee ID. Click enter. So that's arrange. Then we click OK. When we do that, you come down here. Now, if you click and select here, this drop down would appear. You can actually select any employee to look up the employee's values. That's straightforward and simple, quick on data validation. I can also do a course on data validation. If you need it, just let me know in the comment section that I can add it. But it's quite simple, just one straight way to do that, just like I did. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about VLOOKUP. What is VLOOKUP? It searches for a value down a column like this and returns a result from another column to the right. So VLOOKUP will search for employer ID, just like this value. When it searches the value, it returns a result from another column, be it this or this or this, or any of these columns. What it does is, now we have an employee ID, and let's say this sheet has about 500,000 rows, and we want to search particular employee ID and look for the information concerning that employee ID just in one place like this. You can actually use VLOOKUP because you won't be scrolling down or maybe searching every time. You can just click, select the employee, or type in, or even type in the employee ID. If you know the ID 1078, click enter, and it will show just like it happens here, 1078. Click enter. It will show you all the information about them, the information we need about that employee as a kind of summary. So what does VLOOKUP have? Let's see. VLOOKUP. So it says it looks for a value in the leftmost column of the table. When it means leftmost column, this value in the leftmost side, and then returns the value in the same row from a column you specify. By default, the table must be sorted in an ascending order. So that's what VLOOKUP does, which is pretty much different from what XLOOKUP does. So it means the lookup value, when you have VLOOKUP, let's tap that in. So the lookup value, first of all, is what you are looking for. That's what you're looking for. What in this case is 1078. The value here is what you are looking for. That's the lookup value. So let's say we just select it, looking for any value that is here is what you are looking for. If it was a name, perhaps maybe something that is unique, so it doesn't confuse. So that's the lookup value. Then the table array, you put a comma. The next thing is asked for a table array. What's the table array? That's the full table where our function should search. the full table where Excel should search. What is your table now? We have the whole of this table. So we select here, Control Shift down and right. So it gives us, it selects the whole table, now puts a comma. That's our table array. That's the table we are looking for this lookup value. So the next thing it asks us is the column index number. Which column number to return? So this now is the return column. What column do you want me to return? So what it's going to do is going to search the lookup value, which is this column in this range, and return any column. So it will search this value in this column, in this range, and returns any column we specify. So how do we specify the column? We need to count the column numbers. For example, employee ID is 1. Let's say just the way they are. Last name is column 2. First name is column 3. Department is column 4. So we have to look for the column we are looking to return. On which column is it counting from the left? So here we are looking for the last name. Last name is on column 2. So we add 2 here. We can pretty much stop there. It's still okay. But if we want to go further, we can put a comma. The next thing is range lookup. Range lookup. So what this means is that approximate, if you put true means approximate match. The values in the column of the table or array must be sorted in ascending order. So if it was to be named, let's say our lookup value was a name, we'll make sure that the name are sorted in alphabetical order, so that if we use true, it will point out to the first name in ascending order, or other ascending or descending. It will point out the first name is here to return the last name. But since we are using a lookup value which is a number and it's unique, we need the exact match. So VLOOKUP will only find an exact match. So it will find the exact match of this lookup value to return the last name for it. That's what it means. So if I select the exact match tab, it's always either false or true. So most times you use false because you're looking for exact match. Close it, then you click enter. You can see now for 1078, we have it that the last name is who? Habsbosch. See it here. So because of our data validation that we did now, we can actually select, okay, let's select another person. 1152 is who? 1152 is Henders. You can see here 1152 is Henders. So any employee you select here, because of the VLOOKUP we have done, is going to bring out the last name of the person. That's what the 1067 we selected now. 1067 is cut. That's what VLOOKUP does. So it looks to the right. It looks to the right and tells the value of what you looked up from the left. We've done for last name. Let's check for the first name. For this, we can say, okay, here we do equal to VLOOKUP. Lookup value is here. And lookup array is here. Comma. Our column index is first name, which is 1, 2, 3. So we put 3 there. We can actually close it without the range lookup. It sees yours guild. So if you close it on default, it goes to exact. And exact is always recommended. That means the exact match. So if you close it without putting any range lookup, it will always default to exact match. Click on here, you can see Scott Gale. Scott, that is 1067. We have Scott Gale. Let's highlight it so we know. Go to home, give it a yellow highlight so we know who we are following. So now we've gotten our last name and our first name. The next thing we want to know is department. How do we find that? We do VLOOKUP, then we do a lookup value is this, a lookup table array is this. Select all the table here. Our column index is department is 1, 2, 3, 4. Department is 4. So click enter. We have 80. Come down, you'll see that the department of Scott Gale is 80. Then we have the pay rates too. How do we do the pay rate? The same thing, equals to VLOOKUP. Lookup value is here. Our lookup array Table array is this table. Our column index is pay rate is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll do 9. Enter, we have 14.55, which is pay rate for Scott Girl. So based on our validation that we put here, if we change it now to 1705, 1705 belongs to Ken Sherrill. Ken Sherrill, we have it here, Ken Sherrill, just like we have it here, Ken Sherrill. Our department is AD. Our pay rate is 11.25, 11.25. So now we don't need to be scrolling up and down or searching our table. If our table was so large, we just need to use VLOOKUP to look up a value of any employee we are looking for. You can also use VLOOKUP to look up a value in another sheet from one sheet, or even in a different workbook on the same computer. There were many limitations to VLOOKUP. That's why Microsoft introduced XLOOKUP, which is much friendlier and much easy to manipulate and navigate. But one of the limitations was that VLOOKUP cannot look to the left. One other thing is that it breaks if the column moves. That's one thing. One other thing about VLOOKUP. Let's say we come down here and we had our last first name. Let's say we do like this and we say insert shift cells to the right. Okay. So we can see that when we introduce that, this changes to 0 with the first name, because the first name has moved. So now it's seeing, the formula is still seeing column 3. That means you need to change the column value again. That's one of other limitations. So it breaks if the columns move. Let's do Control Z. So see, it has gone back to Ken Sherrill. So another thing is it needs the lookup value in the first column. The lookup value must always be in the first column. The next thing is it's slower on big data. That's one other thing about VLOOKUP. So that's why XLOOKUP was introduced. So for now, you can use this to populate this. But let's move to XLOOKUP. So what XLOOKUP does, which is quite more simpler, I would say, and easier to use than XLOOKUP, it searches for a value in a row or column and can return any column left or right. Yeah, it is the modern replacement of VLOOKUP. So the structure of XLOOKUP, if we want to go down here, is that for XLOOKUP, we said equals to XLOOKUP. So it searches a range of an array for a match and returns the corresponding item for a second range or array. By default, an exact match is used. So like I said, by default, exact match is always used. So that's what an XLOOKUP does. It searches the range of an array for a match and returns the corresponding item for a second range of array. So what this means is that if we tap in XLOOKUP here, okay, let's go to, let's see what I had there before. Use it to explain. I think I did XLOOKUP here. Okay. I did XLOOKUP here. So what happens here is that we had our lookup value. What's a lookup array, a return array, if not found, match mode, search mode. I'll explain all of this in detail so you understand. So first of all, for XLOOKUP, we are looking for our lookup array. I think I should bring it here so it's understood. Yeah. So we're looking for this lookup value. Yeah, 159, put it 1529, put a comma. The lookup array, where is this lookup value on the table? That's just what we don't need to select the whole table array like we did in VLOOKUP. We select only the array where that lookup value is. Our lookup array is where Excel should search. Yep, so it searches the lookup value in where it searched. Yeah, so we are searching for this value in this employee ID. Is the lookup array. We're looking for the lookup value in the lookup array. Yeah, so we put a comma. The return array is what you are returning. In this case, we are returning the last name. We're returning the so we select the return array too. How do we do it? We go to last name, select it, Control Shift down. We put a comma. If not found, what do we return? If not found is optional. It's a custom error message. Okay, if you check here and there's no last name, what should I return? You can put return not found. So yeah, we still come back to the match mode. Now we have different match modes. We have exact match, we have exact match or next smaller item. We have exact match or next larger item. Then we have wildcard character match. So basically, it always defaults to exact match, which is 0. You can put 0. I'll explain the other one. You can put 0. You can put comma. Search mode. All these ones are optional. I rarely use them in my analysis, and I'm pretty sure that will be the same for you. For now, it's okay if we stop at the optional custom error message if not found or if found. Put a comma, put close bracket, click enter. It brings in Kellerman as the last name immediately. 1529. If we look for 1529 here, and see the last name is Kellerman as last name. Same thing can be done for first name. We'll go down here, click equal to XLOOKUP. Lookup value is this. Put a comma. Lookup array is the employer ID. Return array. Now we're looking for the first name. Click here, Control Shift, page down, select the range, click comma. If not found, and leave it blank. If you don't, if you are sure it's going to be found, and you have Tommy. But sometimes if it's not found, if you're working with data that you say, okay, some of them might not be there, they might not have included their first name or their last name, then you use the if not found. For example, let's say Kellerman didn't, this employer ID 1529 didn't have a last name. Let's go that there, delete the last name. It sees that place as a 0. That's what Excel is seeing it as if it's a 0. Let's bring back Kellerman. So if our lookup value is not found, let's say this 1529 is deleted, it will show us not found. It means it has looked up that place and it didn't see this employee ID. That's why the last name to show not found here, because the employee ID was not found. One other thing I'll need to show you in this XLOOKUP, one thing that makes it easy in XLOOKUP is that you can actually return 3 columns. For example, let's use 1656 now. Let's use 1656 is equals to XLOOKUP. You're looking for a lookup value, which is this. You put a comma. We're looking for it in this array, employee ID. Search that lookup value in this array, then return the columns. If the columns are close to each other, are next to each other, because you need last name, first name, and department. Let's not talk about pay rates now because it's far. We need last name, first name, and department. We can actually return an array like this: first name, last name, and department. Select the 3 arrays and click enter. See what happens. Lookup automatically returns the employee's last name, which is Curious 1656. You have it here. Curious. Yep. Returns the first name, Chio, and returns the department. Why? Because 3 of them are together here and 3 of them are together. So we just selected that return array. And see what we did here. We selected the return array from A1 to A48 of this return array. So that's why it could give us all of the lookup for all of it. That's why XLOOKUP is very much easier and friendly to use than VLOOKUP. So you can use this sheet to complete this and study, can go back, rewind, watch again to understand what XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP is and understand how each of them works. So XLOOKUP actually helps better because it can go from right to left and from left to right, not like the limitations we had in VLOOKUP. So XLOOKUP can look left, it can look a row, it can look at the row at the left. Sorry. So it can look at the row at the left and it can look at the row at the right. at the right, depending on what you are looking for. That's one thing that XLOOKUP can do. It does exact match by default. If the column breaks, it doesn't break in XLOOKUP. So, for example, now, if the same way we did with this Kendrick, let's do it with this Wu and Tama. Let's do it again and just see. Let's say we click on this first name, we select it, and we include insert shift right. Okay. We see that when we shift right now, for VLOOKUP, it shows 0. For the one we did by step, because this cell becomes empty now, it's not after it will show 0. That's one thing you should note. It doesn't break when the column shift. You can see this one that we did one after the other. It doesn't break. If you like, you shift, add different columns, it will shift by the column because it remembers the range that is selected. So it goes with the range. But this one broke because it has to be correct only when the 3 columns are together. Once you shift the 3 columns from themselves, it will definitely show 0. But if that's not the case, when you're doing it one after the other, that's one of the advantages of XLOOKUP. And also, XLOOKUP can return an entire row. Let's say we did this, copied this, and we pasted it here. And we want to get employer ID 1672 with XLOOKUP. What we can do equals to XLOOKUP. Yeah, lookup value is this. Lookup array is our employer ID. And put a comma. Then our return array can be everything we need here. We can just select everything. Then we click enter. You see, XLOOKUP automatically, because all of them are aligned and they are close to each other, you can return the value for all of them at once. So even if you change an employee ID here, 1054, it changes everything for that same employee. It makes you see only that employee. So that's what XLOOKUP can do. It can return entire row, and it's faster on large data sets. So if the data set is large, XLOOKUP is perfect for it. If you have any issues, any questions, tell me in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications too. Thank you. See you in the next lesson.